Street to where it is now, and on the till, John Scott, who was probably the best fisherman the Isle of Wight's ever seen until I came along, he had on the till a little placard that said, and we've actually got John's sons here, Mike and Peter, who are pretty good fishermen themselves. They are better than me, to be fair. But they'll remember what this placard said, and it said, if you want to be happy for a day, you get drunk. If you want to be happy, and I might get this wrong, if you want to be happy for a week, get married. But if you want to be happy for the rest of your life, go fishing. And that is pretty well. I've enjoyed myself in a lot of different ways. Anyway, we won't go there. But fishing has been a source of enjoyment to me for most of my life. So anyway, getting on to the subjects tonight. If somebody keeps an eye on the clock and stops me as soon as you get bored. Bass fishing. I caught my first bass when I was 6 years old, which was a long, long time ago. And that was in Portsmouth Harbour, where, strangely enough, the current bass record comes from. And it beat the Isle of Wight one by a couple of ounces, I think, didn't it, George? You know what it is now, 1980?
An ounce and a half or something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, but when we used to fish in Portsmouth Harbour, you go through the harbour in May and June and July, and lots of large areas were alive with small bass breaking the surface, and that's a nursery area which I understand is now protected, which is good for the future of bass fishing. But going forward again, I'm just sort of giving my biography on bass fishing. In the 60s, I think it was about 1963, we had a very hot summer, and cuttlefish had a very good year breeding in the Solent, and when they died, they were piled up 3 foot deep on Ryde Beach and places like that. Camps had to get diggers down and clear them. Well, if anybody knows anything about bass fishing, cuttlefish is one of the top baits for bass, and the bass were having a field day, so all you need to do is go down to any beach around the Isle of Wight and on the mainland. That was before I came to the island. Put a 6-inch strip of cuttlefish on and chuck it out, and you can get some nice bass. Bigger bass between 3 and 6 pounds. So I got interested in bigger bass fishing then, and I set the sights. The standard for being accepted as a good bass fisherman, you had to catch a 10-pound bass. I think it took me another 15 years to catch a 10-pound bass. That's how difficult they were to find one, I think. Hands up anybody who's caught a bass over 10 pounds yet. Michael?
Yeah.
Shy.
1 or 2.
John? Yeah. Anyway, we got some good. I didn't see you, Bob.
Yeah, I did.
All right. So, you know, you catch a 10-pound bass, it looks about 20 pounds, it's about a yard long, and it's a real monster. And I was, many years ago, we went to Weymouth, and because the bass were being attached commercially, we formed a club called the Bass Angler Sports Fishing Society, didn't we, George? And I've got membership number 1 on that. It's approaching 1,000 members today. But the idea was to have a lobbying place for people who wanted to protect the bass, and we managed to get the size limit increased a bit over the years, which helped. But at that time, I had a little monthly journal, and I wrote an article in there saying, why haven't we caught 20-pound bass in British waters? And since then, nobody has. So I'm quite surprised, because since my early career fishing turned into a later career of scuba diving, I've been in touch with people who've seen bass around the Isle of Wight that would have been in excess of 20 pounds. And the only reason I can think that they haven't been caught is generally in a shoulder bass, the younger bass are a bit faster, they get your bait before the big ones lumber along and pick it up. So that's the only reason I can think. They're definitely out there. So what I did when we were shark fishing, I found that the easiest way to catch big bass was just by downsizing the shark gear. I did use the same sort of bait, fish strip, and chuck plenty of bits of old fish out to attract the bass, and you know, I was earning a living as a commercial shark fisherman. It was very nice. I could go out a couple of evenings a week, fish the tide up anywhere between the Yarmouth and the Needles on about 6 or 8 little hot spots. And in those 2 evenings, I'd earn 2 weeks' wages, which was quite enjoyable because I could play golf and bugger around for the rest of the week. And everybody would think, well, where did he get that from? Where did he do it? So anyway, that was bass fishing in those days. But at that time, I had a girlfriend who had 2 brothers who were keen fishermen, and when I started catching these bigger bass, the 2 brothers, especially one of them, pestered me to take them out bass fishing. And I still hadn't caught a 10-pound bass, so one of the brothers was more persistent than the other, and he kept on and on and on. So in the end I said, right, I'll take you out, but I swear you to secrecy, you mustn't tell anybody where we go, how we fish, what tides we fish, etc., etc., and keep it quiet. So I've been trying to catch a 10-pound bass for 15 years. I found a spot where there were bigger bass, and I knew it was just a matter of time before I caught one. I take this bugger out one time, and he caught a 12.5 pound bass. So you can imagine what happened with that. We've got 2 ex-professional bass fishermen here that I used to go out fishing with a lot, John Doe and Mike Scott. And if you knew what we caught on rod and line in those days, which we'd still keep quiet about, you'd be amazed. But we had some amazing catches, didn't we? And it was a good way, you know, if you can go out with one of your hobbies and earn a good way, more than people, you know, in 6 hours fishing you can earn more than your mates who are working 40 hours in a factory. It beats working for a living, I think. Anyway, we got Keith here, who used to be on the harbour staff at Yarmouth, and he'll tell you about one of the legends in the bass fishing world, a bloke called Dick Tremlett. Used to come up to Yarmouth when the bass fishing season was on. He was a chemist at Portsmouth. He had a chain of chemistry method of bass fishing down pat, because he used to use the best bait possible for school bass, which was sandhill. And there was a mark he used to fish. He showed me his diary one day, just to give you an idea of the catches you could get back in the 60s. And he'd been up to this mark in the Solent, which was a boom defence in the Solent, Hampstead. And he fished there for 5 consecutive days, and his diary recorded catching just short of 1,000 bass, 996 bass in 5 trips. So that's the sort of fishing we used to enjoy. Modern fishermen, where they're more conservation minded, wouldn't approve of that, and apparently they've just bought a limit of 3 bass per angler per day. Has anybody got any questions on bass fishing? We haven't got Mr. Molam here tonight. He's a keen bass fisherman, luckily. TV questioning me about it. So anybody, if you want to, there's the gentleman over there, the short up, I mean, he's got a little tackle shop in Freshwater. He's quite keen, he writes for the Anglers magazine. So if anybody wants to learn about catching bass, if you ask Block, John or Mike or Peter any queries you've got, if you want to improve your bass catches, these are 4 of the top experts in the world.
Supposedly. So what is your view on the new size limit? They're going to probably bring out of 42 centimetres then?
I don't know. I haven't got an opinion on it really.
No? Do you think that'll save the bass more, or do you think they'll be getting nets full of them and just chucking them back trying to get the right saleable size? So will it help or will it
well,
make
there's
it
always
worse?
a conflict between commercial and you know, anglers who are just doing it for pleasure. So you know, I think there's room for moderation in everything, especially bass fishing. I mean, as long as you haven't got a 1,000-ton trawler scooping up 200 ton of bass every 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's not the local fishermen, it's where they're going over winter, where they're exploited.
They do shoal up sometimes in big shoals. If the commercial person, as I'm saying, that's go for them, then they can really hammer them. So That's where you need the regulation on the big fishing boats, really. But whether
Putting the size in that won't help.
no, I don't think the size of it's going up.
When I first started catching bass, the top was 12 inches.
Yeah.
And every time it's gone up, bass stocks have gone down. You know, so it's not helping. Observation area. But I've got them. Juvenile areas. Yeah. Most estuaries now are juvenile areas.
You've done it in the classic.
Yeah. The cows have got hardly any bass in them. For donkeys, there's cows arbor through the summer, so thousands of birds feeding all through the summer. Now you don't see the top.
Well, you're not talking about sewer areas, are you?
No, bass shows.
Yeah.
Only small bass, but
Yeah.
nonetheless.
Whereabouts?
Among the boys, among the mooring boys.
Yeah. All right. I've never seen them there, but I don't spend a lot of time there.
Yarmouth Fair 2012, 2013, and all the summer, under that pier, every head tide, thousands of small bass.
Yeah.
Last year, zilch.
No? Well, I'll tell you what, that might be, there's a problem, the divers table up the firm up there is that with all the dredging in Southampton water, the visibility has been so bad in the zone for diving, and that affects all the marine life as well. And I think that's probably had an effect on the sea life. Because the mackerel catches last year, the worst ever, whether they were sent somewhere else because
That
of
was
that.
from over the land's end.
Well,
That was interesting.
you better tell us about this. What happened there then?
Long time ago.
Come on. Give us a history lesson. Is it for publication or just...
No, it was just a day we went over to Amy Bay, and all we had was a herring on it from the supermarket. So we
wrapped it in a bit of rainbow,
and the only fish we caught was a pike. And the pike was about that long. Another exaggeration.
Yeah.
So we looked at one another. This pike must be a 4.5 pound, 5 pound. It was. And so we cut it up and we had
7 conger as well.
7 congers in a tote off the Warnow. The biggest conger was
50 and a half.
50 and a half pound danglers.
And I caught one of them.
And we took what was left of the pike, basically the head, and that weighed 1 3/4 pounds. John's,
that would have been a British record.
yeah. This was back to that too. Yeah, it would have been a British record fish.
The week after, you caught the 52 and a half pound.
Yeah, I did the week after.
Yeah, that was the on record for a
It
while.
was for a while.
Yeah.
Within 100 jars of the lido, so
There you are, see, we got some fishermen here, they can tell you some tales all night.
You're on about trawlers, Dick. You will remember that little spot that on the spring tides that we always used to fish back in the 60s and catch a lot of fish. And you remember them North Island trawlers came down through there one night, and one of the boats there took real umbrage at that. And the next day he was out there and he had a plough, a farmer's plough slung under his boat, and he wrapped barbed wire and goodness knows what around this plough. And when he saw those trawlers coming, he cut it loose. It sank in front of these trawlers, and they just kept going right through it. Never stopped and never slowed them down one bit. Stamping all over that boat like you wouldn't believe it. They were called down for about 3 days. And old Beck, do you remember that? On the my pack. Yeah, never made a difference. They still trawl all the bass away and they never come back.
People still believe that the bass stocks are healthy. Could you give us any description of the difference in the numbers from now till then?
Oh, they definitely gone down.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that.
Huge shoals.
The shoals were so big you could walk on them.
Okay, yeah, I can believe it.
The fish were in 6 or 8 foot of water, and they covered acres on the
Right.
singles. Acres. And you felt you could walk off.
Was that just in the autumn or was that all the way through the season?
All the time. All around.
The thing is, they get boat shy as well.
They do get, they're very clever fish. The bigger fish are really clever fish, aren't they?
Right.
The bass at the boom defence, would be right out from the shore, right out, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Like acres of them, just breaking water all the time. You could just keep pulling them out. It was just massive. As you say, you could walk on the river.
And over at Saudi was the
Saudi
same.
just-
The ones on the surface, you'll pick up the bigger fish.
Right, like put a heavier perk on and try and get through underneath them.
Just to get through it.
You wouldn't get through them, would you? Directly the bait hit the water, you had them.
You say years ago, never got the big fish. Oh, we did. I mean, Dick mentioned the old man a little while ago when he had the shop in Newport there. I don't know how many years ago, 45 years, 50 years ago. There were some characters this time of year and they were arguing over who was going to win the 3 Bass Cup. And the old man said, I'll win it. He said, get away with it. So he said, go on, there's my pound on the counter, where's yours? And they all put a pound in.
And there was a lot of money in those days.
And he said, the top lad, he said, I'll have won it by the 1st of June. I said, get away with it, get away with it. He went round and by, he had won £9.15. He went to Baldner, he had one over £10.
Was that all on bait, was it?
All on bait.
Or was that
But
cuttlefish,
then he went to
mackerel?
Wooden Creek.
Right.
Then on the sloop.
Yeah. In the pool there.
In the pool, he had another one over £10.
What, over the other side of the bridge?
No,
Or not just in...
off the sloop carpet.
Yeah.
Oh, right, in the bottom bit.
Seaside.
Yeah, in that
the
deep
seaside
bit,
bridge,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And that was by the middle of May, you had those 3 that year. And it was over £30, no problem at all. 2 of those were over 10, one was £9.15. And nobody ever beat it. Not that year anyway.
They must have been on the first peel of the crab then, maybe.
Basically, yeah. So yeah, we did have big fish. And I had a 12.5 pounder in 1968. You know,
Right.
and a load of others, so, yeah.
It's amazing, you get them, the big ones sculling around inshore, and
They become lazy, the real big ones.
yeah, there was one, I heard, was caught in Yarmouth Harbour of over 16 pounds. Do you remember hearing about that about 8 years ago?
I heard about it.
Off the pilot pontoon, I think. So that was a big old fish. But anyway, we're supposed to be talking about bass and sharks tonight. Do you want to hear something about sharks?